others I've seen might never be me.
Hello and welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie, and today Jill and I are going to feature some books that are new in the collection. So Jill, kick us off with your first pick.
So my first one is Oprah's Book Club book by Elizabeth Gilbert, All the Way to the River, Lost Love and Liberation. 20 years ago, Elizabeth Gilbert's Eat, Pray, Love inspired millions of readers to embark on their own journeys of self-discovery. A decade later, Big Magic empowered countless others to live their most creative lives. Now comes another landmark book about love and loss, addiction and recovery, grief and liberation. In 2000, a friend Liz sent to see a new hairdresser named Raya Elias. An intense and unlikely curiosity sparked between these two apparent opposites. Raya, an East Village badass who lived boldly in her own terms but feared she was a failed artist. Liz, a married people-pleaser with a surprisingly unfettered sense of creativity. Over the years, they became friends, then best friends, then inseparable. When tragedy entered their lives, the truth was finally laid bare. The two were in love. Unacknowledged, they were also a pair of addicts on a collision course towards catastrophe. What if the love of your life and the person you most trust in the world became a danger to your sanity and well-being? What if the dear friend who taught you so much about your self-destructive tendencies became the unstable partner with whom you disastrously reenacted every one of them? And what if your most devastating heartbreak opened the pathway to your greatest awakening? All the Way to the River is for everyone who has ever been captive to love or any other passion, substance, or craving, and who yearns at long last for peace and freedom. This was published on September 9th of this year, so All the Way to the River.
My first pick is in our new nonfiction collection, and this is Memorial Days by Geraldine Brooks. It's a heart-rending and beautiful memoir of sudden loss and a journey to peace from the best-selling Pulitzer Prize-winning author of Horse. Many cultural and religious traditions expect those who are grieving to step away from the world. In contemporary life, we are most often met with red tape and to-do lists. This is exactly what happened to Geraldine Brooks when her partner of more than 3 decades, Tony Horowitz, just 60 years old, and to her knowledge, vigorous and healthy, collapsed and died on a Washington, D.C. sidewalk. After spending their early years together in conflict zones as foreign correspondents, Geraldine and Tony settled down to raise 2 boys on Martha's Vineyard. The life they built was one of meaningful work, good humor and tenderness, as they spent their days writing and their evenings cooking family dinners or watching the sunset with friends at Lambert's Cove. But all of this came to an abrupt end when on Memorial Day, 2019, Geraldine received the phone call we all dread. The demands were immediate and many. Without space to grieve, the sudden loss became a huge gulf. 3 years later, she booked a flight to a remote island off the coast of Australia with the intention of finally giving herself the time to mourn. In a shack on a pristine, rugged coast, she often went days without seeing another person. There she pondered the varied ways those of other cultures grieve, such as the people of Australia's First Nations, the Balinese, and the Iranian Shiites, and what rituals of her own might help to rebuild a life around the void of Tony's death. It's a spare and profoundly moving memoir that joins the classics of the genre. It's a portrait of a larger-than-life man and a timeless love between souls that exquisitely captures the joy, agony, and the mysteries of life. So I know one of our coworkers really liked Horse, so if you want a nonfiction pick by this author, it sounds like it'll be very touching. Yeah. Geraldine Brooks, Memorial Days.
She's a good author. So my next one, I've not heard of this author, Amity by Nathan Harris. A gripping story about a brother and sister emancipated from slavery but still searching for true freedom and their odyssey across the deserts of Mexico to finally reunite, all while escaping a former master still intent on their bondage. New Orleans, 1866. The Civil War might be over, but formerly enslaved Coleman and June have yet to find the freedom they've been promised. 2 years ago, the siblings were separated from their old master. Mr. Harper took June away to Mexico, where he hoped to escape the new reality of the post-war South. Coleman stayed behind in Louisiana to serve the Harper family, clinging to the hope that one day June would return. When an unexpected letter from Mr. Harper arrived, summoning Coleman to Mexico, Coleman thinks that finally his prayers have been answered. What Coleman cannot know is the tangled truth of June's tribulations under Mr. Harper out on the frontier. And when disaster strikes Coleman's journey, he is forced on the run with Mr. Harper's daughter, Florence. Together they venture into the Mexican desert to find June, all while evading two crooked brothers who will stop at nothing to capture Coleman and Florence and collect the money they're owed. As Coleman and June separately navigate a perilous parched landscape, the siblings learn quickly that freedom isn't always given. Sometimes it must be taken by force. As in his New York Times bestselling debut, The Sweetness of Water, oh, that's where I heard of this guy. Nathan Harris delves into the critical years of the Civil War's aftermath to deliver an intimate and epic tale of what freedom means in a society still determined to return its black citizens to bondage. So this was published on September 2nd. So
I have The Sweetness of Water on my to-be-read list.
yeah.
My next pick is a new fiction book that was added to the collection in September. This is Catherine Faulkner's The Break-In. After killing an intruder in self-defense, a wealthy London mother must unravel a terrifying mystery. It's filled with twists and turns, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Alice is a professional mother of one, and she's hosting a playdate with friends at her upscale London home when a disturbed man breaks in. With her child in the next room, Alice panics and she kills him, an act later ruled to have been in self-defense. Everyone tries to encourage Alice to move on with her life, but with strange comments appearing online, a mysterious phone call telling her all is not as it seems, and her husband, nanny, and her friends all behaving strangely, Alice finds herself drawn to the mystery of who that intruder really was. As she digs deeper, she discovers a trail of dark secrets that spiral closer to home than she ever could have imagined. So, sounds like a good one.
We like a good mystery in the fall.
Also the author of The Other Mothers, if anybody's familiar with that book. So, Catherine Faulkner's The Break-In.
My next one is called People Watching. This is by Hannah Bonham Young. This was published in September 9th. Prudence Welch has found solace in her introverted life on Baysville, a charming tourist town in northern Ontario. Despite once dreaming of a life beyond its borders, she now finds contentment in her working at her father's gas station, writing poetry, and caring for her mother, who was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's shortly after Prue's 19th birthday. But as her mother's condition worsens and her father's concerns about her future intensify, Prue feels the world slipping further out of control. Enter Milo Kablukov, an enigmatic wanderer whose beat-up van covered with ill-advised bumper stickers rolls down to town just when Prue needs a change. It's all too easy to go with him, and Prue can't help but strike up an unlikely friendship with Milo, which leads to a wild and sexy agreement between them. Milo, a man of many adventures and countless stories, is not one to settle down. However, his brother's urgent need for help has brought him to Baysville, and now the intriguing Prue has given him more reason to stay, especially once they start spending more time together, their chemistry intensifying. The casual sex lessons start at Prue's request. But as their temporary arrangement blossoms into something deeper, Prue and Milo discover that getting out of their comfort zones is one thing. Taking a leap together is something else entirely. So, People Watching sounds like not a slow burn.
I didn't read that book. My third pick comes from Jeffrey Deaver and co-authored by Isabella Maldonado. This is The Grave Artist, and this entered our collection, in the fiction collection, in September. Perfect couples are his perfect victims. Now he's hunting those hunting him in a riveting thriller. A wedding reception is coming to a close in the Hollywood Hills when the blissful day is shattered by the death of one of the newlyweds. Though the incident appears to be an accident, Homeland Security investigation agent Carmen Sanchez and her partner, security expert Jake Herron, discover that the tragedy is the third in a series of similar deaths and conclude something far more sinister is at play. The two uncover chilling evidence pointing to a serial killer who has taken evil to the next level. He's dubbed the honeymoon killer since he's looking at those perfect couples, and this man isn't interested in his victims, but in creating his own macabre masterpiece from their graves. Focused on the survivors and reveling in their grief. And now his dark obsession has turned to Carmen and Jake. The honeymoon killer has decided they are the perfect next target. Take one out and delight as the other crumbles. Time is running out as a deadly game between predator and prey begins. And this is actually the second book in the Sanchez and Herron series, which begins with Fatal Intrusion. So these sound like kind of dark books. So Jeffrey Deaver and co-authored by Isabella Maldonado.
Oh. Next one is from our nonfiction collection. This is A Silent Treatment, a memoir by Jeannie Vanasco. She did it to my dad, though. She used the silent treatment on each other, she explained, because they didn't want to say something they'd regret. What does she want to say now that she'd regret? Jeannie Vanasco's mother starts using the silent treatment not long after moving into the renovated apartment within Jeannie's home. The silences begin at any perceived slight. Her shortest period of silence lasts 2 weeks, her longest 6 months. As Vanasco guides us through her mother's childhood, their shared past, and the devastating silence of their present, she paints a layered, complicated portrait of a mother and daughter looking, failing, and in big and small ways succeeding to understand each other. In the margins of her research, at the kitchen table with her partner, in phone calls to friends, and in delightful Hey Google queries, Vanasco explores the loneliness and isolation of silence as punishment, both in her own life and beyond it, and confronts her greatest that her mother will never speak to her again. Her greatest fear that her mother will never speak to her again. From the acclaimed author of Things We Don't Talk About When I Was a Girl and The Glass Eye, Jeannie Vanasco's The Silent Treatment is a searingly honest and lasting testament to the power of all things left unsaid. So, if you want to read about what the silent treatment does, it's not a gentle way to
Oh, goodness. My fourth pick is new to our collection in September also. Let me get this all showing. This is Lin-Manuel Miranda, The Education of an Artist by Daniel Pollock Pelsner. How did Lin-Manuel Miranda, the sweet, sensitive son of Puerto Rican parents from an immigrant neighborhood in Manhattan, rise to become the preeminent musical storyteller of the 21st century? In this book, the author offers a compelling narrative that traces Miranda's path from a friendly but isolated child to the winner of multiple Tonys and Grammys for his Broadway hits Hamilton and In the Heights, a global chart-topping sensation for his songs in Disney's Moana and Encanto, and the recipient of a Pulitzer Prize and a MacArthur Genius Grant. Miranda's journey is a testament to the power of creativity, collaboration, and cultural synthesis. Despite not being a musical prodigy, Miranda's insatiable drive to create art and learn from those around him propelled him to synthesize his Latino heritage with the pop, hip-hop, and Broadway musical styles of New York City. The unique blend allowed him to craft a new way of telling American stories. Drawing on over 150 interviews with Miranda's family, friends, and mentors, including insights from Lin-Manuel Miranda himself, Daniel Pollock Pelsner delves into the formative experiences that shaped Miranda's artistic vision, from his early musicals in high school and college to the creation of his professional masterpieces. This book reveals the sources of Miranda's creativity, not an innate genius, but as a result of exceptional openness and cultural collaboration. With full access to Lin-Manuel Miranda's inner circle, this behind-the-scenes origin story is sure to captivate his legions of fans and beyond. I'm a fan of Lin-Manuel Miranda, love Hamilton, love In the Heights, so this is also on my to-be-read list.
Oh, yes. Glad he's getting just to. It was the way she said it. Short stories, essays, and wisdom from Terry McMillan. This is a pretty popular author, but it's funny. For the #1 New York Times bestselling author Terry McMillan, a collection of short fiction and essays about love, aging, popular culture, and all the things in between, spanning more than 40 years of a remarkable career. This is an anthology of previously published short fiction and nonfiction, as well as unpublished works from renowned author Terry McMillan, collected in one volume for the first time. This special collection includes unpublished short stories, some unfinished, magazine articles, opinion pieces, a commencement speech, a book lecture, and collected works from literary journals and anthologies. Whether she's revealing life lessons, pontificating about aging, recalling sources of her inspiration, or laying bare the beginnings of her life as a writer, McMillan approaches every piece with enduring humor, wit, and fearlessness. Longtime fans and new readers will be delighted to discover these treasures spanning McMillan's long and groundbreaking career. This was published in September. So if you're not ready for a book, this one's just got little essays and short stories, and some of them unfinished, which I think is interesting.
I might have to check that one out. My last pick is one of those beautiful books with the edges. And this is The Cruel Dawn by Rachel Housel Hall. And this was an author I wasn't familiar with, but I'm not a romantasy reader, so this entered our fiction collection in September also. It's the explosive second book in the Valendor series. It's a sweeping romantasy where gods bleed, realms fall, and one woman stands between salvation and ruin. A god's wrath is unforgettable, her love even more dangerous. Kaivara Megadrill was once worshipped as the grand defender of Valandor, until betrayal, punishment, and exile left her diminished. Now the realm she abandoned teeters on the edge of collapse. Monsters roam free, gods whisper in shadows, and one man, Jaden Wake, Prince Blacksmith Liar, may be the key to her salvation or her final ruin. Haunted by the past, hunted by divine enemies, and armed with only fractured memories and an unrelenting will, Kaivara must choose, reclaim her power and face the truth about Jaden, or watch Valandor fall to a traitorous god's rising. The realm called her a destroyer. This time they'll learn what she was truly made of. So this series, when I looked it up, is best enjoyed in order. So if you're interested in this book, you should start with the first one, which is called The Last One, and then move on to The Cruel Dawn. So a romantasy series.
Romantasy's big, and so are Soul Sprayed Edges, and it makes it fun to read. Well, we hope if you're looking for something new to read this fall, we gave you a good view of what's new on our shelves this
Yeah, I think most of these were added in September or October, so they're very new to the collection. Jill and I thank you for watching our videos. You can find us on the Kimberly Public Library website, Facebook page, and YouTube channel. And until next time, happy fall, and thanks for watching. Bye!